And welcome to Vaccine Huddle with Dan and Jacob. I'm Dan. Jacob, unfortunately, is not here today, so you're stuck with me. So let's get into this week in college football. This past week. So we had BYU hosting West Virginia, and BYU came out on top with the win 38-24. That actually puts them in still undefeated in the Big 12. 2-0 in their conference, 5-0 overall. Then we get into some of the more premier games. Miami goes down to Florida State, and they come away with a 6-point win. I'm not going to lie. Like, that game could have been a toss-up. I know last week I had Miami big, but Florida State might be sticking around. So, Minnesota goes to Ohio Stadium and kicks rocks 42-3. The upset of the Saturday was number 7 Penn State going to UCLA, and I cannot stress this enough. Jim Knowles leaves Ohio State and goes to Penn State. Now, whether it's, because Ohio State wasn't going to give him enough money, or the fact that he was just done in Columbus, begs to question whether or not Ohio State actually dodged a bullet. I think Jim Knowles, let's just call it what it is, he shit the bed Saturday. You led an 0-4 team, embarrass you as the number 7 team in the country. I understand, yes, it's on the road. Yes, they went 2,500 and some odd number of miles from Happy Valley down to Southern Cal. But at some point, you have to say, is James Franklin going to keep his job? And I'm sitting here thinking about it like this. Penn State is at a crossroad. They have been for about the last 10 years. Do you keep going with a coach that gets you into that 10-2, that 11-1, those types of seasons, and is never able to get over the finish line? Or is it time to move on from James Franklin and have somebody else move into Penn State? I heard this comment the other day. James Franklin is really good at rebuilding programs from the ground up and then handing that off to somebody else who's going to do better. I can't fault the guy. College football is a rough business. And I feel James Franklin has overstayed his welcome in Happy Valley. It's funny. I also heard this comment the other day, and then I went back and looked. The 3 of the top 10 preseason teams aren't even ranked anymore. You got Penn State and Texas, which we all had high hopes for Texas. We all had high hopes for Penn State. Could this have been James Franklin's year? I think, looking at it now, like I said, I think James Franklin's done. I don't think I think that they're going to, at the end of the season, whether or not, he's not going to win a national title. playing that way against UCLA, he's not playing he's not playing for a national title. He's playing for a paycheck at this point. There's no outstanding goals that James Franklin can achieve right now at Penn State. I think he should hand the reins over and go ahead and resign, as well as Jim Knowles. Jim Knowles is probably going to limp himself back to Oklahoma State now that Mike Gundy's gone. But it's neither here nor there. It's sad to see Penn State, a team that was highly touted coming into this season, with Drew Aller, which Drew Aller's not doing very good either. In the Big Ten, he's 14th among quarterbacks, active quarterbacks in the Big Ten. 14th. You can't win games. You can't win the big games having the 14th ranked quarterback in your conference. It's very, very dire in Happy Valley right now. Moving on, we had Texas go down to Florida. Florida, I got to give it to them. Florida showed up. No doubt about it. Let's look at this box score. So, Florida opens up at the first quarter, scores 10. Goes into the second quarter, scores 9, and then right before the half, Texas scores a touchdown, making it 19-7. Then in the third quarter, Florida comes out, scores another 10. Texas scores 7. It is now 29-14. And Sarkisian said it the best. And I'm not blaming it on anything, but Sarkisian did say, go to Ohio State and then go to the Swamp and tell me what your record would be. It's probably in my top 5, both of those schools in my top 5 for toughest places to play. And he's not wrong. Florida showed up in SEC fashion and beats Texas 29-21. And like I said, that game, it really wasn't close, but it wasn't far away either. And then you have Vanderbilt at Alabama. That was a lot closer game than what the scoreboard would tell you. Alabama ended up pulling out the win 30-14 on a route to what looks to be a SEC championship game contender. And then you have Iowa State and Cincinnati, another upset. Iowa State just they could not get the ball going in the first quarter, and they let Cincinnati go up 17-0 in the first quarter. And then they come back, scored 15 in the second, but Cincinnati also scored another 14. So at this point, you're down 31-15. And where's your defense, Iowa State? Iowa State's had a really good defense most of the year. And I think they're showing the hiccups right now that Penn State was. And I'm looking at it like, can Iowa State win the Big 12? Honestly, probably not. I think the top spot to that's going to Texas Tech. Texas Tech is probably the team to beat. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be Texas Tech and BYU in the Big 12 championship game. Seeing how Iowa State played against Cincinnati on Saturday, It was dismal. Going down the line, so we got Boston College at Pitt. Pitt absolutely embarrasses Boston College, as in fashion. Boston College moves to 1-4 on the season, which is not good. Not good. I know that they're breaking in a new head coach, and this is second year, and we got to give them the benefit of the doubt. But got to call a spade a spade. Boston College is not good. And then Illinois at Purdue was a lot closer game than what I thought it was going to be. It turned out to be a 16-point game. Virginia at Louisville in overtime. Virginia pulls out the win in Louisville. And then you get down to Clemson, North Carolina, and we're gonna talk about this one for a few minutes. This is the battle of the coaches you never wanted, right? You got Dabo Swinney, who this year can't win a big game to save his life. And then you got Bill Belichick, the head coach of North Carolina, who can't win a game. I'm wondering who's going to be on the hot seat first at the end of this year. Is it going to be Dabo Swinney or is it going to be Bill Belichick? It's probably going to be both. Let's just call it for what it is. Hello, Lauren. And then that's pretty much it for most of the upsets. Wisconsin gave Michigan a run for their money until the last 7 minutes in the fourth quarter. But it really wasn't. It wasn't close. And then you got Kansas State at Baylor. Kansas State can't. That's the Ireland curse. If you play your first game in Ireland, you're gonna have a shitty season. We saw it with Florida State last year, and you're seeing it with Kansas State this year. A Kansas State team that was highly favored to win the Big 12 this year is probably going to finish bottom tier. Which moves us into this week. And we have a game going on right now. Missouri State is playing Middle Tennessee State. The last I saw, it was actually Middle Tennessee State was up. Let me check the score on that one. Yeah, they're still up. But this week we see a couple Wednesday night games tonight. We got Liberty and University of Texas El Paso, and then Thursday tomorrow we got a slate of 4 games: La Tech at Kennesaw State, East Carolina at Tulane, Jacksonville State at Sam Houston, and Southern Miss at Georgia Southern. And then to peak our Friday nightcap games, all of these start after 6:30. That'll be South Florida at North Texas at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, Rutgers at Washington at 8 o'clock, and Fresno State at Colorado State at 8 o'clock. South Florida is probably going to bury North Texas. And then we slate our games for Saturday. Number 1, Ohio State at Illinois, 11 o'clock in the morning on Fox. Big noon kickoff. Ohio State opens up as a 14.5 point favorite, 49.5 point over under. I think Ohio State pulls away in the second quarter, and they don't look back, and it probably ends up more closely like the Minnesota game last week. Probably 42-45 to 3, 42-45 to 6. Alabama at Missouri. Now this is a good matchup game. Number 8 Alabama goes to number 14 Missouri, and I gave Missouri a lot of shit at the beginning of the season because they played their first 6 games at home. They did not have to travel out of the state of Missouri for 6 weeks. I think Missouri has what it takes to upset Alabama. That would give Alabama 2 losses on the year, with one being to Florida State and then the other to Missouri. Does that give them enough to make it to the SEC championship game? Probably. I don't see Missouri doing anything. At this point, it could come down to Ole Miss, Alabama, in the SEC championship game. Another pretty good matchup. UCLA has to travel all the way to East Lansing, Michigan, and play Michigan State. Washington State at Ole Miss. Take the over. The over is 58.5. It's probably going to be a 70-point over. So take the over, guys. Then the best matchup we have of the week. Number 7 Indiana at number 3 Oregon in Autzen Stadium. As of late, Big Ten teams haven't been traveling well on the road. I want to say Oregon, but I don't ever count out Curt Cignetti. So give me Indiana. Definitely take the over of 55.5. Oregon is a 7.5 point favorite in this game. And then Oklahoma at Texas at the Red River Rivalry. And Oklahoma opens up as a 1.5 point favorite, 43.5 point over under. Take the under, guys. Take the under. This is going to be a defensive battle. No team particularly has any good offense. They did say that Mateer, the quarterback for Oklahoma, was going to try to make it back for this game after having thumb surgery 4 weeks ago. So he's trying to make it back for this game. So if he ends up coming back and is able to play for this game, don't look him to throw the ball a lot. And then Virginia Tech at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech opens up as a 14.5 point favorite. Now, these are not the Virginia Tech teams of the late 90s and early 2000s. These are the Virginia Tech teams that have disappointed us over the course of the last 10 years. It's not Frank Beamer ball anymore. It's just really not. And then Iowa State at Colorado. Does Iowa State have what it takes to bounce back and beat a Colorado team that, since 2 draft picks left, haven't been able to do much? They don't have a win over a Power 5 school. They don't have a conference win. And it doesn't look like they're going to for the remainder of the year. So they opened up against Georgia Tech. They lost 27-20. Then they beat Delaware 31-7. Lost to Houston 36-20. Won against Wyoming 37-20. They had BYU come in. They lose by 3. And then TCU comes in and they lose by 14. Dion not so primetime Sanders probably does not need to be in Colorado anymore. I said this last year when he opened up with the job at Colorado that he's only there to coach his kid, and I can understand that. I can understand wanting to coach your kid, but you got a lot of people in Boulder excited for the new Colorado football team. And I wonder if Deion Sanders has what it takes to actually be a head coach. Offensive coordinator, probably. I would probably put Deion Sanders as an offensive coordinator in my system. But as a head coach, probably not. Probably not. Another game on the list: Florida at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is opened up as 7.5-point favorites. Give me home of the 12th man. They got to go to Kyle Field at College Station. Give me Texas A&M. Not big. The over under on that is 46.5. Probably take the under. And then you got the University of Kansas at number 9, Texas Tech. Texas Tech opens up as a 14.5-point favorite. Now, if KU plays like they did against UCF last week, I have a feeling they're going to have a very, very bad day. For a team that went up on UCF the way they did and then absolutely let everything get shut down there, it looked like their defense was out there like just flailing around. It was really hard to watch. Then you have Clemson at Boston College. Can Boston College upset Clemson? Technically, will they? Probably not. And then number 10, Georgia goes to Auburn. It's really, really hard to play at Jordan-Hare Stadium. And Georgia coming off of a loss to Alabama and then a redemption win against Kentucky. Maybe Auburn can pull off an upset on a team looking ahead to number 4 Ole Miss in 2 weeks on the 18th. That's not far-fetched. One of these two games or both, Georgia could lose. And if Georgia loses to Auburn and Ole Miss, they're out of the SEC championship game. South Carolina goes down to LSU. LSU is a 9.5-point favorite. I want to say give me South Carolina. South Carolina, I know it's a night game. It's a 6:45 kickoff time. LSU's a 9.5-point favorite, 43.5-point over-under. Give me South Carolina to upset the Tigers. And then that's it for the marquee matchups for this week. But there is some other things that I want to talk about this week, and it has to do with coaching and the effects that some of these athletic directors put on their fan base and their coaches when they hire people, and fire people for that matter. I think that we're at a crossroads in college football right now. You're seeing teams like Clemson, who went to multiple national championship games in a matter of 5 years, open up and they're just garbage. North Carolina had a stellar season. I understand their head coach left, and they hired Bill Belichick because he was good at coaching in the NFL. That's not how college football works. You're used to coaching pro people. These are college kids who are trying to learn. And when you take your pro set mentality and you put that into a college setting, you can fuck people up real bad. You can start telling people, yeah, you're good enough. Yeah, you're good enough. And then, are they? This North Carolina team that I have watched for the last 5 weeks has been dismal, to say the least. For Bill Belichick winning, I don't know, like 5 or 6 Super Bowls, he can't win a college game to save his life. If his life was on the line on Saturday, do you really think he could win that game? I don't. I think James Franklin also needs to go, like I said earlier in the podcast. I think the lack of going into the transfer portal, the lack of wanting to pay your kids what they're worth is biting Clemson in the ass right now. I think all they have to do is make 1 or 2 adjustments, just 1 or 2, and it could be a different Clemson team. It was a different Clemson team when Brent Venerables was the defensive coordinator for Clemson, and now he's the head coach at Oklahoma. And I understand, coaches move up and move over and stuff like that. Ohio State saw that with Chip Kelly moving on after winning a national title to go. I think he's with the Raiders now. You see that with Lincoln Riley. The reason why Brent Venerables has a job. There was a job opening up at USC. He saw dollar signs, and he was good his first year coaching because all the players were already set in, and hasn't done jack shit since. And it's really hard to take a program like USC, used to winning, and breaking them down to be mediocre. Lincoln Riley is not a head coach in my position, or in my opinion either. He's an offensive coordinator at best. These aren't the days where Pete Carroll ran USC, won a national title. These are the days of college football that when you look back at it, you have to say, did the coaching staff do its best? Did they coach to their potential? And I don't think so. But that is where I will leave you today. I am sorry that Jacob was not able to be here today. So this is